Welcome. Today we're diving into how students' interest and enjoyment in a subject can shape the way they approach learning. Recent research by Andrew G. Holmes, published in the Educational Process International Journal, uncovers new insights into why some students engage deeply with their studies, while others stick to memorizing facts. We'll explore the history of learning approaches, the difference between deep and surface learning, and why your feelings about a topic matter more than you might think. Let's begin by understanding the basics of how students learn. For decades, researchers have studied how students learn and how universities can improve teaching. The theory of approaches to learning is central to this. It looks at the strategies students use, whether they aim to truly understand material or just memorize it for exams. These approaches are influenced by students' perceptions of their learning environment and the expectations set by teachers and assessments. Let's break down what these approaches mean and why they matter. The distinction between deep and surface learning was first introduced by Martin and Selye in the 1970s. Deep learning means actively understanding and internalizing knowledge, connecting it to previous experiences, and being able to use it in new situations. Surface learning, on the other hand, is about memorizing facts without truly understanding them. Students who use a deep approach engage with the material, while those using a surface approach often see learning as an external task, focusing on rote memorization. When students approach their studies, they combine both their intentions and the way they process information. Some aim to make sense of what they're learning, while others just try to reproduce what they think will be on the test. This choice isn't always fixed. A student might use a deep approach in one subject and a surface approach in another, depending on the context and their perception of what's required. Assessment plays a huge role in shaping how students learn. If a student believes that memorization is needed for an assessment, they're more likely to adopt a surface approach. But if they think understanding is required, they may try to engage more deeply. Interestingly, students' perceptions of assessment requirements can sometimes be more influential than the actual requirements set by teachers. Selye's research introduced a hierarchy of learning approaches, ranging from simply increasing knowledge and memorizing facts, to abstracting meaning and interpreting reality in new ways. This hierarchy shows that students can progress from surface to deep learning, but their approach can change depending on the subject or task. The key takeaway is that deep learning is generally linked to better understanding and outcomes. Research shows that students' perceptions of their learning environment and assessment tasks are closely tied to the approach they take. If they see a task as requiring memorization, they'll likely use a surface approach. If they see it as needing understanding, they'll aim for a deep approach. However, these perceptions can vary from one task to another, and even within the same course, depending on the student's interest and understanding. Holmes' research highlights a factor often overlooked in previous studies: the role of interest and enjoyment. Interviews with students revealed that when they are interested in and enjoy a topic, they are much more likely to use a deep approach to learning. Conversely, when interest and enjoyment are lacking, students tend to stick to surface learning, focusing on memorization rather than understanding. Students themselves describe how their interest and enjoyment affect their learning. One student shared that they often didn't like a subject at first because they didn't understand it. But as their understanding grew, so did their interest and enjoyment, which in turn made them want to learn even more. This cycle of understanding, interest, and enjoyment can lead to deeper engagement and better learning outcomes. Not all students are interested in every topic they study. Many reported having to force themselves to be interested in certain subjects, especially when they knew understanding was required for assessments. However, when interest is forced rather than genuine, the depth of understanding and engagement tends to be lower. This can impact their performance and overall satisfaction with their studies. So what does this mean for teachers and universities? If we want students to use a deep approach to learning, it's important to foster their interest and enjoyment in the subjects they study. This might mean giving students more choice in what topics they explore or helping them find personal connections to the material. Supporting students in developing genuine interest can lead to better learning outcomes and greater satisfaction. One practical implication is to allow students more flexibility in choosing topics for assignments and assessments. While some core content is necessary, letting students pursue areas they find interesting can help them develop a deeper connection to their studies. This approach may require guidance and coaching, but it can create the conditions for deeper learning and greater enjoyment. Another recommendation is to provide students with clear information about the topics they will study before they enroll in a program. If students know what to expect and can choose degrees that align with their interests, they're more likely to stay engaged and use a deep approach to learning. This can also help with student retention and overall success. It's important to note that these findings come from qualitative research with a small group of students. While the results are insightful, they may not apply to every context or discipline. However, the idea that interest and enjoyment play a key role in learning is supported by other studies and can be a valuable consideration for educators everywhere. In summary, fostering students' interest and enjoyment in what they study is crucial for encouraging a deep approach to learning. By giving students more choice, providing clear information, and supporting their engagement, educators can help students achieve better outcomes and truly enjoy their educational journey. Remember, when students are interested, learning becomes more meaningful and lasting.